Alright, we're in this game a little faster than all the other ones because we're all here and no one's crashing. It's amazing. So in the bottom half of the map, we have in the light blue Tuna playing Zerg. And then his partner in crime, Mystery Wisp, with the darker blue probes. Ignil, or Junie, as I will inevitably call him frequently, is using his SCVs over here, and then Sojourn playing Zerg. So 2v2s are obviously a little different. You have to, I think, be a little more careful in some ways and a little more aggressive in others. Cheeses are way more powerful because there's two people that are going and doing it. But one thing to know is you also have the double defense. And a lot of the time, if one person gets a couple of early units, they can defend against cheeses for both of them, with that defender's advantage of both the high ground and the ability to have production constantly reinforcing. But so far, no cheeses. Just a very standard 16 hatch opening for Sojourn. It looks like a Reaper opening for Junie. And then on the other side of the map, literally identical for Tuna. And then Mystery Wisp is actually getting double gate before expand, as well as cybernetic score. So this is definitely a little more aggressive, especially considering all the other players are getting their second bases faster. But not necessarily anything wrong with this. We'll just have to see where it goes. SCVs chasing probes, taunting them with their additional 5 HP. So broken. It's probably the most imbalanced thing in all of StarCraft, in my humble opinion. Especially because Widow Mines can't one-shot him. Junie is actually going to be blocking the expand here. So he may not know, but he has seen all these things and maybe wondered if they're not going to be expanding, but it looks like Mystery Wisp will. But there are even 2 SCVs here, most likely going to be able to block this. Not with these Zerglings in, actually. Yep, just standard 4 Zerglings for Tuna. And shockingly enough, the exact same thing for Sojourn. So far these players do the exact same builds. Although actually, this is a little different. We see an Evo Chamber, most likely for +1 melee. And then that third hatchery going down a little earlier. As opposed to that, we are getting extra queens for Tuna, but no tech just yet. And their metabolic boost timing is identical. Ooh, we do see the Baneling Nest go down now. Baneling Nest is all well and dandy. Yep, this one hasn't started. But we do have to remember that there's going to be Hellions, which are really, really good against low numbers of Banelings. So Ignil is going to be able to scout this because you see he's got it rallied straight to the other side of the map. Is probably going to be able to get a little bit of damage done. Sojourn just defending his Overlord so he doesn't have to remake it. Actually 4 Marines coming to join, so looking to do a little bit of damage. And since that Baneling Nest is not quite finished, that means there's no Banelings here. But there's a lot of Zerglings and they're going to be able to see this and react accordingly. So far they just see the 1. But there they are. Let's see this Hellion Micro. I should be able to take out a couple of these, but I'm definitely not going to be able to fight that kind of a number. 28 Zerglings coming out for Sojourn in response to this. Probably worried about a Ling Flood, but with this third base, it's definitely not a committed attack. In the meantime, look back at Mystery Wisp, who has not teched up. Ooh, I stand corrected. We got Void Rays coming in the back, and it looks like he just pinged that third base, and most likely will be taking it pretty soon once he has those 400. Worker count currently is favoring the Amazon team, but this attack is big and he's got a surround on all of the stalkers. These queens are good, but they're not going to be able to quite hold it against this number of Hellbats. And if we look, there's actually no Baneling. This Baneling Nest has been built but not used at all. The entire army of Amazon goes down. This one Void Ray is going to be able to do some damage. But there's so many Zerglings, and it's just really difficult to be able to target them all down with that single unit. If we look at the units lost, right now it's a little bit equal. These are just going to morph into Hellions and run away from all these queens. So overall, pretty decent defend. There were actually no workers that were taken out, but the worker count has gotten a little more even, so it's generally okay. There is a big swing from the side, and he's not going to be prepared for this. I wonder how many workers are going to go down. He does decide to target down the stalkers, which with this overcharged battery is definitely going to be hard, but he's just going to go into the main base. There's not enough Zerglings here to face, so he's just going to have to pull all these workers, and most likely the Zerglings of Tuna will get taken out. In the meantime, he's got a couple of queens over here just sniping overlords that were rallied to the front on accident. Even a pylon being taken out, it's going to stop both of these gateways from being warped in. Being powered, excuse me, when they come back. But if we actually look at the vision, they have no idea. The Amazon team, while their respective vision for our boys in green UVU is pretty much absolute. They know exactly what's going on. The only thing they haven't seen is this double Evo chamber that was just barely dropped down. And if we look at the worker count, they've actually surged forward. So the overall supplies are roughly equal, but the economy is now better for UVU. And considering that these players have been on the defensive most of the time, I think that's actually a good idea, because it seems unlikely that they're going to feel brave enough to come out, especially after that Ling attack that came from the side. A couple of Banlings being morphed in, finally. Those are going to be very, very useful against Sojourn's Zerglings, which he is now getting that Hydra tech, so most likely going to be getting Lurker at some point in the near future. Actually getting the +1 armor instead of the +1 range. Most likely going to start that +1 range from here. And I assumed that that was done because he didn't have access to the lair quite yet, because it's pretty rare to grab the +1 armor. Not that it's bad by any means, it's just preferred to get those attack upgrades when you're going Ling Bane Hydra. But the one thing I have failed to mention at all in this game is actually the creep spread, which is really good for Tuna. So that means that they're going to get a little more advanced notice as long as the attack comes from this side. While Sojourn actually does not have a single creep tumor. Let's look at our structures. Yeah, 35 creep tumors to none, which could definitely be okay. In some ways, when you're playing against a Zerg, there can even be benefits to slowing that down. But we'll have to see. It'll be especially hard for him to defend this base right here. But Overlord's continually being rallied to the other side. No Overlord speed in production, so most likely both, or this one, potentially both, are going to fall. Fourth base also going down for Tuna. Take another look at the worker count. They've actually surged forward, and it's roughly equal if you average them out. Mystery Wisp is a little behind. Igneal is a little ahead. Igneal is definitely doing a good job with the worker production, although he is a little oversaturated, so hopefully he will be taking it at fourth base pretty soon here. Single Zergling just getting a scout off, doesn't manage to see a whole lot. But we do have Lings coming out, the Lurker Den moving down. A couple of Banelings already morphed in. A couple of Hydras already here. Looks like it's most likely just going to be for defense. But these bases are actually quite close to each other. And I'd like to see just a Zergling run by really quick here. Does he actually have the Hive? He does not. Nope. No Hive, just now getting the Infestation Pit. So any Lurkers that are morphed in won't have those upgrades that are oh so critical. A lot of Igneal's units being caught out. One good Baneling hit. A couple Zerglings coming for the surround. They're just not going to do a whole lot. 3 Void Rays just going to get some free damage on these. They really do need to be moved out of the way. Hydra's coming in, and Hydras do absolutely wreck those. So we'll see. Tuna does have some Lurkers of his own, so Sojourn's going to have to back out. But with these Lings coming around from behind, oh, it ran out. The scan ran out, and the second scan was a little too slow. So the coordination here just like not quite perfect, and then 4 Hydras are going to be taken out for free. So things are definitely looking good right now for our Amazon team. We'll have to see which direction it goes. 32 Lings in production for Sojourn, so he is aware that they need to prepare for an attack. And Mystery Wisp is reinforcing these Lurkers here, and most likely we're going to see an instant rotate from Igneal as soon as he realizes what's going on. But a couple of lurkers now here. That's going to make the defense a little easier. Hive coming up. The infestation pit for Tuna is actually further behind, so that could be a pretty big deal. But we now see the armies moving forward, and our UVU team does now see it. And it's actually a little out of position, so gonna lose a couple of these for free, and then just walk back to those lurkers that are gonna take care of those zealots pretty nicely. Igneal coming around the side. I'd like to see a scan, maybe kill a couple of these on the way, these creep tumors, but I think it's generally alright. A lot of banelings being morphed in, but they're already on top of them. But see how these lurkers do. They are in a pretty good position, but they just choose to get a couple of these kills and back out. Again, I just want to see the scan. We're fighting on creep, and that's just quite dangerous, especially when there's banelings on the map, which there are 8 for Tuna. One of them gets taken out, and it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Tanks sieged up in the back, so it seems unlikely that's going to do a whole lot of damage. More tanks in production. Tanks are the counter to lurkers, usually, at least, if you have the right count. But, oh, he's right on the edge of those, and, of course, does not see anything. A couple of liberators. Oh, he's actually taking a couple hits here, scooting back. The siege tank is getting targeted down. But in the meantime, we have Sojourn just taking this base down, doing some economic damage. Right now, only a small portion goes forward, so most likely he's going to lose a couple of things for free. But Tuna is moving out on that left side, going to catch out some of those units. But, ooh, the lurkers are burrowed. Ooh, and a couple of good hits, but generally the engagement doesn't do a whole lot. But this was the big deal here. Tuna lost a lot of supply, and now Sojourn is capable of preventing the base from going down again. Ooh, but his vision up here. One lurker gets taken out. But these lurkers are totally out of position. Is he going to be able to catch them with these links? Oh no! The micro just isn't there, and there's vision here. He's going to lose all of his lurkers, but Sojourn might lose all of his as well. He's got to move quickly in order to save the last one here. But in all, I think that was slightly better for Sojourn. Especially considering he continues denying the space. In the meantime, Igneal in the back with a lot of low health units. Just the one medevac needs to definitely reinforce them. But wisely moving out towards the back. This base being taken in the meantime, and I think Igneal's production is just going up and up and up. He's saturating this base now. It looks like he pulled them to defend against a counterattack that I most likely missed. But there's some units moving in here, but that's a lot of Hydra, and those Void Rays are unlikely to accomplish a whole lot. If we look at the upgrades right now, just +1 attack for Mystery Wisp, +1 attack both melee and ranged for Tuna, and then the 2 Carapace, but Sojourn on the +2 for everything, and definitely the UVU team in general has got the edge here with even +1 vehicle armor for Igneal. A random ping here, goodness knows why. But this little poke is scouted out. Igneal most likely moving these here in order to build a planetary, but just a little bit out of position. But Sojourn is pinging those to let him know that he needs to do something with them. Or what is he doing? Is he just scouting with them? He is close to max, and has quite a few workers. So most likely he just sacrificed those for the sake of more supply. But they're wrapping around to the UVU team now. The scan here most likely will alert the Amazon team as to what's going on. And indeed, they do see the Zerglings chewing this down. And Adrenaline Glands just barely finishing, so those are some scary Zerglings. Lurkers are being boarded in the back. They do not have adapted talons. And as a matter of fact, they don't even have seismic spines, so those are some pretty short-range lurkers. If we look at the buildings, there is a hive, so a little unclear. Oh, he's just now starting the adaptive talents. Good for him. Lurker burrowed up in the front, gonna outrange everything. As long as it has vision, it should be able to do some serious damage. Does lose a couple of units, but they decide to just move around the side. The siege tanks, mines, and liberators discouraging a small flank. But this base is gonna go down for absolutely free. Liberators getting a couple of free hits off. Lurkers reburrowing, but oh, the Protoss army is caught completely out of position in a concave. It does choose to move back, which is wise, but takes a bit of free damage. And if we look at the supplies, the UVU team is just about maxed out here with some decent money, while Amazon is struggling just a little bit on that monetary front. A lot of units being taken down, good snipes. A lot of those lurkers taken out, but a lot of them out of position too. They're just now being moved, but they have nothing to support them. So with these overseers spawning exactly where they are, we should see a couple of snipes from Igneal, taking out the ones in the back. Even a bit of a flank just being able to do damage. I would have liked to see that one picked off, but that's quite alright. Overall, it's looking harder and harder and harder for the Amazon team to come back. They do have this base mining, and as well as this base that hasn't even been taken. But a lot of the other ones are mined out, especially for Mystery Wisp. He's got 45 workers on this base and absolutely nothing in his main. He probably should be mining gas here, although their team is clearly not wanting for that. It's mostly the minerals at this point. But a move out right now could just be devastating. 2 carriers coming up, but that's simply not going to be enough. There's already even a couple of Vipers here that could abduct those. And ooh, Lurkers just being pulled straight into the Vipers. Here's the one Zergling causing some trouble, and the military units decide to just let it have its fun. In the meantime, we've got a little bit of a push coming from Amazon. Maybe not the correct decision. And they do manage to burrow, but they still don't have those seismic spikes. Such a good upgrade. And so that means that they can pretty freely move forward. One lurker probably going to get lost for no benefit really, but this hatchery is dangerously low, and this army is scarily big. Just the two carriers for now, and this number of Hydras are definitely enough to prevent it from doing too much damage, and more Hydras coming to reinforce. They really could just move up right now, take out all of these lurkers, which is the main bastion of the defense. These carriers are at the front, couple of Archon supporters, but it just seems unlikely if Igneal decides to move up. I don't even think these Archons are going to be able to do any damage when they finish. And it's just looking worse and worse for Amazon, and we should see GG's probably any second. Yep, there we are. GG, well played from Amazon, but UVU just correctly reading that game, knowing when to drone, when to be aggressive, and taking control, good coordination between the two of them, which is, I know, something they've been working on. Well played.